Yeah, I think there are a lot of Republicans out there right now strutting around thinking that they're cock of the walk. But
this is a morning show.
I know.
Come on,
but
keep it clean.
We'll try and keep it clean, but shutdowns just get me so excited. When you look at the data, what you're actually seeing is that more Americans are blaming Republicans than Democrats, which I think really goes against the conventional wisdom, because a lot of folks are saying, hey, Democrats are so divided. But at this particular point, Americans are placing the blame on the Republican shoulders, at least the plurality of them are.
So I have one question and one point to make about this. First of all, I wonder what the process is for Harrington deciding the weird body motioner thing that he's going to do, because there's always one. But anyway, my point is they are blaming the Republicans because, and this is just a guess, they're in charge of everything. And they, not just in charge, it isn't just that they have the presidency, they have the House, they have the Senate. They literally control everything. They've dominated every city. They've invaded America. The Supreme Court doesn't matter. Norms, precedent, the law, constitution, nothing matters. They control everything. They're big old strong alphas. We control it. Oh my God, I should get a Nobel Prize because I'm such a good negotiator. Oopsie doopsie, I can't keep the government open. Yeah, it makes you look like a doof. It makes you look like a dink. And so people put the blame on you because you guys run everything. If you don't want to be blamed for things, I would love for you to step away from the reins of power and let responsible people take over. But as of right now, the polls are fairly clear. And this is bad news for the Republicans, because they are gambling that this is somehow going to work out. That although their polls have been slipping on basically every issue month after month, this is like one chance to make it so the Democrats look like the irresponsible ones. And thus far, it's not looking that way. And behind the scenes, supposedly the aides are now stewing in this. They're sensing this political risk, as you can see from the Wall Street Journal. Specifically, not just about the shutdown, but about the core negotiating point on the shutdown, which is that the Democrats are saying we want to put back the funding that you just cut from Medicaid, which is screwing over millions of your own voters. And we want to continue the subsidies under the ACA that already, I don't know, Brett, if you've seen these, some people are posting the new cost or whatever versus the old, like it's like a 3 or 4 time jump, which is again is gonna financially wreck a lot of people. And for the Republicans to come out and their only defense to be, yeah, they want to trans everybody. Well, but if you're looking at your bill and you owe hundreds of dollars more every single month on healthcare, like, yeah, identity politics is fun or whatever, but that doesn't solve the problem that's staring you in the face. So I can sort of understand the concern. And we can put up these other polls while you give your commentary. This is the first chance you've had on our show to talk about the shutdown. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, but among Republicans, what their strategy is, this is all about making poor people bankrupt. Or die, bankrupt or die. Like the die, I get it makes sense if you're a Republican, because otherwise, what are they going to do? All the like objectives of the Republicans is to make life as difficult as possible for people who have the most difficult lives possible. But if you no longer give them subsidies, this idea that they're going to now suddenly make jobs materialize out of nowhere, while they pay tariffs on all this stuff that you guys are making more expensive. Like, I just don't know what the plan is other than finally, when it came to healthcare, it's like, oh, their plan is for poor people to die. At least that makes sense. They will no longer be a liability. And it's funny how accidentally Chinese they are. Like China at least was like, don't make as many children. The right's just like in America is like, we also want to cut down on our population by just like starving poor people and not giving poor people any medicine. Here's the thing is like in the long run, the whole model that we have is more expensive than it needs to be because these folks will be poor and not go to the doctor. And then when they finally do go to the doctor, it's when they need to go to the emergency room, which is the most expensive care anyway. They're not going to have the money to pay that, so they go bankrupt. And the hospitals don't get the money. They need to find money from other places. And so they charge and raise premiums on people with jobs within our system to cover the cost of the losses they have because the government's no longer subsidizing the program. Like it doesn't, like they don't have a strategy. It's very obvious. And I'm glad that people are realizing that it's a very difficult thing to get through, because the right is trying to also say like, these guys just want to give healthcare to illegals. And the answer to that is like, that's illegal. First of all, you can't do that. That's not how it works. But secondly, like what's really happening is they're cutting assistance to like the people in America who don't have jobs because Democrats, but mostly Republicans, have rigged the system so that it's difficult for people to just kind of get by. And there is no safety net. So these people are, when you eliminate a safety net, you just get splattered poor people all over the sidewalks.
It's a rough metaphor, but an accurate one. And by the way, at the same time, they're mass deporting undocumented migrants who, again, by law, cannot access these benefits, but pay taxes that help to support those benefits for the citizens that can't actually use them. Yeah. By the way, in terms of the polling, if we go to graphic 4, should the ACA subsidies be extended? 71% say yes. That's like just wild levels of support. Again, like it's like, should we release the files? Like Democrat, Republican, Independent, all say 89% yes.
Most Americans agree.
Kind of seems like maybe that should matter. That like 70 to 90% of the American public think a thing. Nope, the Republicans just won't do it. Does that hurt them? Kind of, maybe abstractly over a long period of time. Like I feel like when they something like I'm just very briefly, we got one more shutdown thing to talk about. But under Biden, remember they did the thing where if like your airline like bumps you or whatever, they have to like pay you restitution. And then like a couple months ago, Trump's just like, no, we're not doing that. I feel like that's the sort of thing that should break through in politics. Because like it's like you could help out consumers, or you could just screw them over for the airlines. I know we're gonna do that one.
But
why does that hurt you politically a little bit?
Flying's a magical luxury, is the short answer to that.
I know, I'm just saying, okay, well then overdraft fees. When you have one party that's like you should be protected from that, and the other's like, no, if you ever even accidentally temporarily go below it, even if the only reason you went below it is because the company ordered your things so that you'd go below it, we want you to be screwed over and pay hundreds in fines. And like the entire Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the war the right waged against that is what politics should be about. You have one side that wants to protect you from corporations and the other that wants to dominate you alongside those corporations.
I love overdraft fees. It's like there should be negative consequences to people not having money. And then poor people are like, do you think I don't know there are negative consequences to not having money?
Exactly.
I'm suffering them. That's why I don't have any money.
That's why you overdrafted, is because of all that. Now, in terms of how, again, right now the Democrats and Republicans are both trying to set the narrative on this. They're trying to make it about ACA subsidies or like you're gonna be transed. And so both of those are compelling political arguments. So the polling could change, it could shift. Historically, it hasn't. Again, according to Harrington, the polling cock of the walk, the last 3 major shutdowns, in the beginning, the GOP was blamed. In the end, the GOP was blamed. By the way, very soon, Donald Trump is going to be responsible for more than 50% of all of the days the government has ever been shut down. He's almost at it already, just from his first term. So again, the chaos presidency producing predictable chaos.